In education, there's this constant challenge, right? We're always trying to get students from what they already know to what they need to learn. It really is like they're on one side of a huge canyon, and the goal is on the other. So, the big question is,
how do we actually build that bridge? Well, that's exactly what we're going to tackle in this explainer. We're diving into a really powerful teaching framework that's designed to do just that.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with what we mean by this learning bridge, what we call scaffolding. Then we'll get super practical and look at how to use it in lectures and seminars. After that, we'll put together a toolkit you can use right away. And finally, we'll talk about the ultimate goal here, building students who can truly learn on their own. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so picture a building that's being constructed. What's all around it? That metal framework, right? A scaffold. It's a temporary structure that lets workers get higher and build something amazing they just couldn't build from the ground. That is the perfect way to think about what we're doing in a classroom.
Now, for the more, official definition from the research, scaffolding is about supported behaviors and actions that students can replicate until they normalize them. The key words there are replicate and normalize. See, it's not about just giving them the answers. It's about giving them a process, a structure they can use over and over until it just becomes second nature.
To put it another way, it's all about empowering students. It's about letting them achieve more with a little help than they ever could by themselves. It's like we're temporarily extending their reach so they can grab onto much more complex ideas.
And this just lays it out so clearly. On their own, a student is kind of stuck with what they already know. But with scaffolding, with that bit of guided assistance, they can start reaching for much, much higher learning goals. We're not just raising the floor for them, we're raising the whole ceiling of what's possible.
Okay, so enough theory. Let's make this real. How does this actually work in one of the most common formats out there, the lecture? The big goal here is to shift students from just passively sitting there to being really active and engaged in their own learning. The first strategy is so simple, but wow, is it effective? Before you even begin the lecture, give your students a handful of key questions. This completely changes their role. Suddenly, they have a mission. They're not just soaking up information anymore, they're actively on the hunt for specific answers.
So here's what that might look like. Let's say you're giving a lecture on computer firewalls. Instead of just launching in, you give them these questions first. This immediately primes their brains, it focuses their attention, and it gives them a mental framework to slot the information into as they hear it.
All right, strategy number 2 for lectures, give them a structure for taking notes. A lot of students, especially newer ones, they honestly don't know how to take good notes. It's a skill. So a guided structure helps them organize everything as it's coming at them.
And the Cornell Note system is a fantastic example of this. You can see the page is split up. Over on the right, that's where students are taking their detailed notes during the lecture. But then later on the left, they pull out the main questions or keywords. And at the very bottom, they write a short summary of the whole thing. It forces them to process the information, not just write it down.
Okay, so lectures are one thing, but seminars, that's a whole different ballgame, right? This is where we want students to discuss and participate, and that can be really intimidating, especially if someone's not a native speaker or just lacks a bit of confidence.
Let's really zero in on that challenge. The fear of speaking up in front of a big group, it's very real. Scaffolding in a seminar is all about building a safe, structured path to participation, where we lower the pressure at every single step.
And this process shows you exactly how to build that path. Just look at the progression. It all starts with individual prep work at home. Then, they move into a super low-stakes chat with just one other person. From there, it's a slightly bigger small group. And only after all that confidence building does one person share with the whole class. It's a gradual ramp-up, not a terrifying leap into the deep end.
So, we've walked through lectures and seminars. Now let's kind of zoom out and pull all these great ideas into a practical toolkit. Strategies you can start using right away, no matter what you're teaching.
Think of this as your go-to cheat sheet. Setting clear goals, giving them materials beforehand, using visuals, encouraging small group work, these are the foundations. And hey, notice that modern one in there, accepting and even leveraging AI tools. That's just being realistic. And of course, always circle back at the end and check for understanding. And that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important point of this entire discussion. Scaffolding is not supposed to last forever. It's a temporary support system that has one single, incredibly important purpose. I just love this quote. The whole point of building that support structure in the first place is so that eventually you can take it away. You remove it piece by piece as the student gets stronger and more capable on their own. We're not building a permanent crutch, we're building a launch pad.
And so that leaves us all with one final, really critical question to think about. When we look at our own teaching, are the supports we're providing truly temporary, designed to be removed, or are we accidentally creating permanent crutches that end up holding our students back? The answer to that question, really, is everything.